Hi everyone, my name's Wayne Connor, I'm the property manager. This is my workplace.
This guy was jumper.
Disco is actually a nickname that I've had for 30 odd years. So it's just stuck wherever I've gone, the name's stuck. So yeah, it's not through my dancing ability, believe me. Does he come in and wreck the joint?
Tell Disco's big job. All he does all day. Drink crownies.
Oh, that's your supply though.
Not bad, either.
My role is to cater for players and staff with all the appropriate gear, looking after the equipment used for training, liaising with coaches to see actually what they want during the week.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Lockie.
Who's your Astro what do you want, mate? Green or white?
Stop stealing my software in front of the locker.
I don't touch it. If you took everything that they said to heart, you wouldn't last in the job, believe me. Hey, get a fair dinkum pair of glasses, will you? You look too intelligent in those. We train here in Melbourne before we go off to Adelaide this evening. So the main focus is to complete packing for the game over in Adelaide. Usually takes about 3 or 4 hours. So it's pretty full-on, comprehensive with the gear and stuff like that we take. Here we've got a checklist of what we require for each week. We tick off, make sure that everything gets to the ground. We've had things go missing and roll up to the hotel the afternoon of the game and stuff like that, so that's a bit of a worry. So you probably got, I don't know, 6 or 7 containers of computer equipment, obviously for the stats and the coaches. Things to do with medical, which is physio, doctors, trainers, the taping and everything like that. It's probably 8 to 10 bags. So there's a hell of a lot of stuff that people wouldn't realise. Everyone just sort of thinks it's jumpers, shorts, footies, socks, that type of thing, but there's a hell of a lot of other things that make it tick. Tell you what, this beats sitting in an office. Typical football club meetings go for longer than they should. So we've been, I don't know, how long have we been out here? 20 minutes or so, feels like about an hour 20. The wind chill's about 8. The temperature's about 10. 55 minutes later, it looks like they're on their way. I can't feel my fingers. Feels like it's about -10 now. Oh, this is ridiculous. Blow the whistle, Mick. Blow the whistle. After that sogging session, absolutely everyone was saturated. We've got gear on now, getting cleaned, hopefully. As you can tell by my attire, mine's in there. Obviously we're deflating the footies because they're all absolutely waterlogged, and what we will do, we'll take the air out of the footies and then I'll throw them in the dry for about 15 minutes just to soften up the leather, so when they dry out they're not going to dry like bricks or rocks, and we'll get better use out of the footies down the track. These are the boots from training that have been dried out. So these will just air out over the course of this evening. He'll be in tomorrow to pack it all up. The players have already taken their boots for the game. Usually they'll have to take 2 pair, soft ground and firm ground pair. But yeah, this is just the aftermath of a wet training session. I've got Craigie, my assistant. While I've been outside getting saturated and doing one for the team as normal, he's been in here and helped pack the van, so we're just about done. Craig's helped property for the best part of 20 years. He helps me game day, helps us all interstate travel, so he's my able lieutenant. Without him, I'd be up the creek. So everything he does, we really appreciate because he's got a full-time job. This is just a voluntary position that he loves doing. He loves the club, and everyone here really respects what he does. So we've got 50-odd bags in there now, so we're ready to go to Adelaide, and hopefully we come home with the 4 points. Setting up the rooms the way we would want them. Yeah, so what will happen is now, in an hour or so, the players will arrive and we'll prepare for the game. When the game's completed and the players leave the ground, we're the last ones to leave. We pack up all again and then go back to the hotel. So it's a pretty full-on day. We've got here a bit after 2:30 and we probably won't leave here until nearly midnight tonight.
They came into this 2nd and 5th on the AFL ladder and we're underway. Jolly against Jacobs, Pendlebury an early touch, Thompson a touch but not a clearance. Sloan, who's been in hot form, alone feeds an inboard. Pendlebury, arguably the best player in the comp, and that's wide. Cool head and finds Shaw. Big kick to settle the nerves. Tyson, dribbling ball, Goldsack too clever. Sack, just seconds remaining. Weaves his way around McKay, loads up, and that is goal. Got away with it indoors, a possession, but again, it's not a decisive one.
He's involving himself without getting stats on the board. Well done.
Didak, good centering kick, hits the spot. Pendlebury the collect, slips the tackle, bends it around the body. That could be priceless. Blair, Beams. He's had a big night at the office. Can he complete the deal? From it though, Wellingham might get there first. Toes it off the deck. Fortuitously, it goes through. There's your full stop. There's your heartbreaker. Seconds remaining. Paul Pleasure the free, but the siren sounds.
We've got some young players that are in our 1st and 3rd year group that have come on really quickly. They play the game the way we like the game to be played. Tark and Lockyer down the VFL has been excellent in grooming them in the game style that we want to play. And we've played 35 players this year and I couldn't have been happier as a head coach to be able to pluck these guys out and to call upon them when required. I thought Marley Williams held up his end of the bargain down back. He's a hard contested ball player, as is Jamie, so they played their role and played their part.
after training, Bucks came up to me as I was walking out towards my car. I didn't really think much of it because he didn't come up to me earlier. So I was walking towards my car and he just approached me and put his hand out and said, "Congratulations, you're coming to Adelaide." And I didn't really believe it, so I asked him if I was coming over as an emergency. And I asked that and he's like, "No, you're going to be playing." So that's how that unfolded.
First game at Jamie Elliott, gets his first touch in AFL footy, puts it to the pocket.
Yeah, my first touch, that was the intercept mark that I had. I don't know who kicked it, but I intercept marked it and then kicked down the line to Trav, and that was my first touch of the game. So I was pretty happy with that. It would definitely stay with me for a while.
I first found out that I was playing on Wednesday when Bucks called me into his office. Went in there and he gave me the handshake and said, "You'll be playing this week." So yeah, I was really happy about that. Yeah, before the game I was really nervous. First time being out in the big stage, but after that, once I first got my touch, it was really good, yeah.
Callan, can he see him? He does. It sits on him a little, bounced off his chest. Wellingham and Collingwood.
Yeah, during the game I felt I was really nervous because it was a pretty close game and they were bringing in the ball pretty deep and then I was getting a bit loose. But after, as soon as I put a spoil on, I felt pretty good and then went from there.
Henderson. High ball doesn't come high enough and long enough. First game of Williams stumps it out.
It just seems to
hopefully the rest of the year I'll probably snag a couple more games and see how it goes from there.
Good evening and welcome to the club. One of the stars of the great win against Adelaide on the weekend was Tyson Goldsack. He joins me in the studio. Tyson, welcome.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks for having me.
Now explain this to me. In 5 years at Collingwood you had a grand total of 7 goals, but heading into round 10 you are second on the goal kicking. Is it possible that Mick Malthouse played you out of position for all those years?
I don't think so. I think it's a bit of a joke on that high up actually, but it's working out all right for me, so hopefully it keeps going on that way.
Now, your role up forward, was that just something that was discussed pre-season?
No, it was more earmarked for a wing position, so a wing that can go defensive at times when needed. But then I think it was against the Essendon game, Anzac Day, that they had Dutch and Fletcher down forward. Down back for them, up forward for us. And he was playing some good footy, so I was used as a defensive role on him, and then just happened to stay up there and kick a couple of goals on the way.
Did you play up forward as a junior?
A little bit, not a whole heap. I was a very average junior, so it doesn't really count, I don't think. But I don't know where I was playing. But yeah, a little bit, but then more kind of half back as well through juniors.
Was the role up forward to anything to fill the void with Lee Brown moving on? Because, you know, he likes a bit of argy-bargy and likes to kick goals, a bit like yourself. Is that something that was sort of worked into the mix as well?
A little bit. I guess we like the forward pressure, so the longer we can keep the ball in our forward half, the better it is for us and the more chance we get of scoring. So I think the defensive pressure they can bring to the forward line, I suppose, helps us out. But Lee Brown's got a little bit more weight than me to throw around, so I might have to work on that.
It was a great win on the weekend. One of the downsides was Lockie Keefe going down, but there is some good news on that front too. Yeah, he's just signed a 2-year deal with us, so that's good. He's worked really hard to get to where he was, and he was playing some awesome footy this year, so the fact that he's signed on for another couple of years is really good for the club and really good for him. Are your days upnumbered, a little bit limited, maybe with Reid, Tarrant and Brown, you know, coming back into the side soon?
Well, yeah, I was hoping I don't have to go down back. I mean, I do like it down back, but hopefully I can stay up forward and they can come in sooner rather than later and play that defensive role.
Now, your mum had a huge win on your... it was the goal in the 2010 replay. You're at huge odds.
Yep, a little bit controversial, but yeah.
She got a little wager on you for the Coleman medal this year, maybe?
Nah, she definitely doesn't. I think she learned her lesson the first time with the meter around that, but she doesn't bet much. I think she puts 50 cents on the Melbourne Cup, each way, of course. She doesn't want to go straight out, but and then on the grand final as well. So that's the only bet she's had for a while, and I think she's going to keep it that way.
Well, good luck for the game against the Gold Coast this week. It's going to be a little interesting, I think. It's we can't sort of relax, can we?
No. I guess every team wants to beat Collingwood. It's the way it is, and we're going to have a good crowd, and it's probably the best crowd that they'll get, the Gold Coast. So they'll come out to play, and they can play pretty good footy. I mean, they're really attacking style, and they can move the footy quick. So yeah, we'll have to be on our game, and hopefully we get the 4 points and keep the momentum going.
Well, mate, thanks for joining us in the studio, and good luck for the weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the game on Saturday night against Adelaide was for the Westpac Cup, and last week Scott Pendlebury got a bird's eye view of some of the critical work that Westpac does with Lifesaving Victoria.
G'day
G'day guys, Scott Pendlebury here. This week, as you know, it's the Westpac Cup versus Adelaide. Great initiative by Westpac to sponsor the lifesaving, and one of the perks as an ambassador for Westpac, I get to come down and go up in this chopper today and hopefully see some sharks out in the water. Can I fly when we're up there?
Can I play on the ball against Adelaide on Saturday?
I guess that's a no for both of us then, eh?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the aircraft's currently warming up. Okay, winding up. We can perform very effective patrols from up here, looking for such thing as our big friendly friends in the water, the sharks, or any swimmers, rock fishermen, anyone who might need our help. We've got permission to fly, an exemption to fly lower than that limit over the beaches for patrolling use, and then when we're actually rescuing, we'll go down as low as 10 feet over the water to release the swimmers. Paul, our pilot's a big Collingwood supporter, mate. I think he'd be a little bit upset if we had to come and get you one day. Yeah, well, nice if you could drop me out the G one time.
Thanks for that, mate.
No problem, Scotty. Take it easy.
Well, there you go. Bird's eye view, eh? Pretty impressive. Yeah, it was the first time in a helicopter, and there wasn't any, didn't really know what to expect, but yeah, it was really cool. It's obviously really important, the Westpac chopper, and the boys really appreciative that it gets funded by Westpac, and they said that they've done quite a few, both of them, rescues out there, and if it wasn't for the Westpac chopper, you know, it'd make it a lot more difficult for them.
Here's Leon Davis, breaks the tackle this time, has a bounce. He's got Rocker on it, and a half forward, and that's where he goes. Rocker can set sail for home. Here goes Anthony Rocker from 50. He goes to the square and hits Cummings on the chest.
They are a silly chance here, the Pies.
15 minutes gone, final term. In comes Cummings. He kicks. And he goes!
Welcome back to the club. We are joined in the studio by former Essendon, Port Adelaide, West Coast and Collingwood full forward, the winner of the 1999 Coleman Medal, Scott Cummings. Welcome to the studio, Scotty.
Hello, mate. How are you? You're well done remembering all of that. That's a good job.
Who was that bloke? It looked like Travis Clark.
Good looking, Rooster, wasn't he? Yeah, good he look in that jumper too.
Your first game for Collingwood was back in 2002, round one.
Yep.
What do you remember of that game?
I just remember taking on Richmond and kicking five, and I can go through each one of them for you if you like. The first one was a pass from Bucks, made it look good. It was probably off to the side a bit when he grabbed that. No, it was great. You know, at first, because I know my pre-season form, you know, I was never good too early. I didn't want to peak too early, February sort of stuff, mate. So I saved it, but that was good, and I kicked 5 of my 6 goals for Collingwood that night. So yeah, it was a beauty.
Collingwood was your fourth and final club.
Yeah.
How did you end up in the black and white?
When I got delisted by West Coast, Mick rang me, I think more just out of concern, see how I was travelling, and as a mate. And I said, well, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, I don't know. And I went and hired a personal trainer. I sat on it for a week, hired a personal trainer who kept in touch with Mick the whole time. He got me over for a week of training before the December draft. And I remember just before 7 a.m, December 17 it was, he woke me up in Perth and said, bad luck, son. I thought, oh, what's happened? He goes, you've got me for another year. And it was the best phone call I've had at that time of morning. And I was straight on the kite and over. It was the best thing I did. And my only regrets, and I don't have many, is the fact that, you know, I wish I went there sooner. I really do.
You ended up playing 5 games for Collingwood and retired at the age of 28. How difficult was the decision to retire so early?
Look, it wasn't difficult because my body
just started getting injuries that I've never had before, and that was the most disappointing thing, because I came to Collingwood in the best nick of my life. I was absolutely flying, and so to get my first hamstring injury at 28, that ticks me off. Then my hip started going, that ticks me off, and I spent the whole year running rehab down the side of the ground, which is no fun, and I was just basically getting in the way. So, you know, one of the reasons why I love Collingwood is they let me retire and didn't ask me to. So I went and sat down with Mick and said, I can't do that year again, mate, and thanks very much. So the best thing is this club's looked after me enormously well, and I loved working for them full-time for the next 3 years. After you finished, you did put on a little bit of weight. No. How big did you get? And what have you done to lose it? Well, you can see by this magnificent polo I'm wearing here oh, look at that bloke. Just over 143 kilos, or more, 144 kilos I got to. And I didn't really notice it happening. And I'd laugh about it and I joked about it. I didn't know I was at that stage. I didn't know I was that massive. And then this opportunity came up and I just jumped at it, and it was tough for a couple of weeks, but no problem in telling you that. I had to make some serious changes, but they're the best things I've ever done. And I seriously, without a shadow of a doubt, Jenny Craig and the Gem for Men has changed my life so much, and it's so good. I feel dangerous. I want to play. Bucks won't take my calls anymore. I'm ringing him relentlessly. He said if I could, I said I've dropped 34 kilos, mate, thanks to Gem for Men. He said, well, if you drop 10 years, I'll talk to you. He's not funny. He's got no sense of humour, that coach. Well, mate, well done. You look fantastic. Thanks for joining us in the studio.